Magandang hapon, everyone. Welcome to Kasing Na PH. We are your hosts, Lucy.
Lucille.
Gabe.
And Gino.
And in this episode, we'll be exploring the book Patron Saints of Nothing by Randy Rabai. The book surrounds the intensified anti-drug campaign of the administration of President Duterte called the Drug War. The book is from the point of view of teenager Jay that explores the grief of his cousin's murder, guilt, and the risks of a Filipino-American teenager that takes to uncover the truth about his journey. Now we ask our host, with Jay's journey to the Philippines, how did Jay uncover the truth about his cousin's murder and find his self-identity of being a Filipino-American?
So Jay is a Filipino American, and more specifically, he is half white and half Filipino. And the whole reason why Jay is in the Philippines in the first place is because his cousin June was murdered. And Jay goes to the Philippines to try and find out what really happened because his family in America won't tell him. And while he's in the Philippines at his Tito Manning's house having dinner, he describes it as, quote, "It's awkwardly formal compared to back home, where we usually all eat at different times, typically while in front of the TV or a book or our phones. Loneliness and noise, the American way," end quote. So when Jay says it's the quote unquote American way, he tries to describe the differences between like the culture in America versus the Philippines and like how he tries to tie it in with his identity by trying to find who he is between both cultures. I guess that's what Randy Rabai is trying to portray in the book. And because he doesn't know much of his Filipino culture, he feels like he doesn't belong. And then after all the dinner stuff, Jay eventually meets a girl a couple of years older than him, and that is in college for journalism, who is his cousin Grace's girlfriend's sister. And basically, she tries to help him find out what happened with his cousin June.
So Mia opens up in the book about her job as a journalist, and then while talking to Jay, she shows like how journalism can be used as an act of activism and how speaking out against certain things could get you in trouble. Some things that Mia says about attacks on journalists are some say it was the deadliest attack on journalists in the world, and about reporting and how dangerous it is. She says, if you like, basically, if you don't want to, if you want to report something, you can't do it unless you want to do political or crime stopping, or not if you want to find the truth. Um, yeah. So for journalism in the Philippines could shine light on things like government secrets and things the government doesn't want you to see, like the poverty in the Philippines.
And going off of that, with poverty, there's a quote on page 202. It says, "But I can't picture June in such poverty, and suddenly, as the reality of this place sinks in, all of this seems improbable." And basically, what he's saying is like the poverty in the Philippines is drastically different than it is in America. Um, just for example, poverty in America, the poverty rate is 11.6%, and it's measured by things like earnings, Social Security, rents, and many more. And poverty in the Philippines, the poverty rate is 18.1%, and it's measured by monthly earnings and daily income. And basically, the people in the Philippines are just living day by day, trying to get whatever they can, oftentimes sharing one small space with dozens of people. And it's a extremely harsh living environment. And it's really hard for them to get by every single day. And a little bit of that is because there's little to no help with drug users or people in poverty from the government. And it kind of ties into a question like, how does the Filipino government affect the murder of his cousin June?
Thank you, Gabe. One thing that Jay says towards the end of the book when he is going to the vacation with his whole family is that he says, "It strikes me that I cannot claim this country's serene coves and sun-soaked beaches without also claiming its poverty, its problems, and its history." And I really like this quote because when Jay says this quote, he's also referring to the heavy hand that the government has on the Philippines. And since 2016, the President Duterte has carried out the war on drugs that has also led to 12,000 Filipino deaths, and that was mostly affecting the urban poor in the Philippines. And at least 2,500 of those killings have also attributed to the Philippine National Police. And although that President Duterte and other senior officials have been investigated um, about this campaign, there has been no punishment for their wrongdoings. And for like what has happened to June, he was killed because he used drugs rather than something less punishable that cost him basically his whole life. And I've really liked this quote because Rabai ties this into the book to shine light on those deaths of Filipinos, but also the handlement of the Philippines issues humanely. And we know that when there's a death of a loved one, it also hurts the family members, and we see this through Jay. And so I just want to see like how does Jay grieve for his cousin, and how does that affect him personally?
Okay, so going back to Lucky's question about how Jay grieved his cousin. So Jay was defeated overall that his Tito Manning was right, despite having such an innocent image of June in his head. And him finding out that June was doing drugs, he just felt like really defeated because he really believed that June was innocent and that his Tito Manning was the one who got him killed. And so with this, later on in the book, Jay grieved by trying to make differences in the Philippines to try and combat the drug war and made plans to come back to the Philippines. And yeah.
Thank you guys for listening to Gasing na PH. Next time we will be talking about other stories from the Philippines. You can stay up to date by following us on our socials and turning on post notifications. Mabuhay!